Assalamualaikum, Namaskar and good evening. I want to thank Amit Bhai for giving me an opportunity to write 2 papers for him. I want to thank Nahia for editing my paper with great sincerity. I'm also thankful to Anjana for her correspondence and caring towards me. Uh, writing the present paper, Gender and Citizenship, was a learning process for me also. It was hard work but rewarding. It's divided into 5 parts. The first part is introductory, where the concept of citizenship is defined. In the second part, citizenship from feminist point of view is reviewed. What is the need to regender the concept of citizenship from the standpoint of women is explained. In the third part, experiments done in different countries to make the citizenship of women effective by using ICTs are explored. In the fourth part, Indian scene is analyzed. In the fifth part, denial of citizenship to some women from Kashmir, Kerala, and Assam is analyzed. At the end, it is argued that some recommendations are given for making women's citizenship full and effective. Now, let us discuss the paper in some detail. My speed is okay, or you want me to slow down further? Can you hear me well?
Yes.
Yeah. Okay. Yes. In the first part, as I said, it is the first part is introductory, that I don't have to explain those things. Now we go to, I request Anjana to please show the slides according to the material I'm covering. Okay. So I don't explain who is a citizen or Indian citizen, etc. Those things. We directly go to the women, citizenship and gender. Feminists argue that citizenship is not gender neutral. It has been quintessentially male. Ruth Lister has eloquently argued how citizenship has always been gendered, in the sense that men and women have stood in different relationship to it, to the disadvantage of women. Therefore, today the feminists challenge to reconceptualize citizenship, which can be called regendering of citizenship. Historical relationship between citizenship and gender. Women have been historically, both in ancient and modern, denied full and effective citizenship. Why should we regender citizenship? Women's rights. No, women had to struggle to achieve equality in rights with men in civil, political, and social spheres to achieve full citizenship. It is also realized that law is of dual nature. It can be an agent of emancipation and oppression. However, it has played an important role to secure prerequisites of citizenship for women. First of all, there should be political participation for women. Citizenship has to be participatory and democratic. This would involve an effective, collective, and participatory engagement of women in deciding affairs of their community. Now, yes, regendering is necessary. Why? It is necessary to challenge the construction of women as passive victims. At the same time, one should not lose sight of the structural and institutional constraints on their ability to act as citizens. Now, there are different approaches to regendering citizenship. There are 3 types. One is the gender neutral citizenship. Here, the emphasis would be on equal rights and equal obligations. In the political sphere, women's representation in parliament and government is put forward as a matter of equality and justice. In the social sphere, the priority is to enable women to compete on equal terms with men in the labor market. Now, the other approach is the gender differentiated citizenship. Here, it are many feminist scholars who argue for incorporating care in the definition of citizenship so as to protect the rights to time, to care, and to receive care. The third is the gender pluralist citizenship. This can also be called as a radical democratic concept of citizenship. This would be a struggle against multiple forms where the construction of women is subordinate to men. Now, how to develop a women-friendly citizenship? What is required is a combination of gender differentiated model and the gender neutral model in the framework of gender pluralism. This will enable equality according to different circumstances and capacities of citizens, both men and women. The policy implication of such model would be to develop measures to shift the gender division of labor and to create conditions where both men and women can contribute, combine paid work and caring responsibilities. Therefore, regendering of citizenship will require change in both public and private spheres and in women's and men's relationship to citizenship. Now, there were some experiments conducted in different parts of the world. Yes, the Gender and Citizenship in the Information Society Research Program was launched in 2010. These experiments are conducted in Bangladesh. Bangladesh, influence of new media negotiating citizenship rights of marginalized women. Then in China, but China, it was not that effective because there were dictatorship then also, because even at the local level, there was a lot of monitoring by the authorities. Then in India, empowering women leaders at the local level, translating descriptive representation to substantive representation through ICTs. And then in Philippines, we take our reproductive rights very, easy, and we have India was the country to introduce abortion long back. Maybe it was the first country to introduce family planning program in the world. Then also long back we introduced abortion as a law in our country, but it's not the case with many countries. In Philippines, they had to fight back. So they bring the local and intimate to the national and institutional using IT for legislative advocacy for reproductive health, gender citizenship. Then Sri Lanka, women and the new media in the margin of Sri Lankan state. At the local level, Project Min Min News was launched. It was a SMS-based news network for rural women in Batti Kalawa district. Yeah, in Hong Kong and Taiwan, it was the project was for empowering the migrant labor. Hong Kong, there were labor laws which could protect the migrant domestic workers, and officially Sundays were off. So they could organize themselves. But on the other hand, in Taiwan, no legal framework existed for the protection of the migrant domestic worker. They had neither a weekly off nor space to meet. Therefore, they could not organize themselves. They lacked the visibility and they lacked coordination. Yes, if the organization could have cheap, simple ICT systems, organization and information dissemination would have been more efficient and effective. What was the conclusion of this experiment? To conclude, in all countries, we observed that use of ICT enabled women in transforming themselves into self-confident and dynamic persons who could use their citizenship to change the situation and policies into their favor to lead dignified lives. Then we try to analyze the Indian scene. Poverty is debilitating and economic development gives dignity to women, dignity to everybody in the society, especially to women. And what is the political situation of women? There are barriers. Of course, we have representation, we have equal rights to vote and all that. But as we all aware, representation of women in Lok Sabha and the legislature is also very less. And then in Karnataka, recently I read in the papers, very few women are elected, very few women are given tickets also. So there are many barriers to women leaders to go ahead in politics. These are in the form of knowledge gap, in the form of resource gap, in the form of winnability. Many times it is said that do not have, or women lack winnability. But it's not, these are not right arguments, not logical arguments that we can easily make, but there are lots of prejudice against the women in our society. So yeah, and then even if like like Mahua Mitra was elected from a different seat, but she won the election. Then we had one lady, Varsha Nikam in Maharashtra, who did great service to her village. She made schooling free till 12th standard in her village, and also she could introduce this sanitary napkins, free sanitary napkins, when she came to that girls are not coming to school during those days. So this was a great thing, she really helped the people, but she couldn't go ahead because she lacked the resources to fight the elections to become MLA and all that. And in states like Bihar and all that, we have those Gram Panchayat reservation, women come as sarpanch and all that. Mostly it is the men who control. In fact, it is said that in Bihar, women sarpanchs are made to sit at home. People call their husbands, father-in-law or brothers as a mukhia. Sometimes husbands of women sarpanches force their wife's signature. Yes, and also the money meant for these things are used for, misused. For example, that Beti Bachao, Beti Padhao campaign, it was not used to educate the women, girls, but it was used, 80% of the funds were used by the state governments for the advertisements, which was a waste actually. Then, yes, there is political glass ceiling. Women had to break, there are a number of women political workers holding high offices in the organizations of different political parties. But patriarchy is deep rooted. Recently, Shailaja said in her interview, that health minister in the past, who did very good program of controlling COVID and all that. So she said she is a communist, and she said even in our organization, this patriarchy is deep rooted. It's difficult, men don't do household work at homes and all that. Yeah. So, there was one Angeline Aribam. How much time is left? 5 minutes? Hello? Is it 5 minutes or more? So there are some stories of women from Manipur, from Kerala, from this thing other, they were denied tickets in spite of holding high positions. That one girl from Angeline Arima from Manipur was the general secretary of student wing at all India level of a major political party. She asked for a ticket, she was not given. At the same time, in the Forbes 30, under 30, she was included, means she has achievement on one side. At the other, on the other side, her achievement was not considered good enough to give her the ticket. So there is prejudice against the women. Then in Latika, there was Latika Subhash in Kerala. She was also not given the this thing ticket. So she left that party. She joined another party. She became powerful. Then, in fact, when Margaret Alba was talking about the tickets to women, so somebody said, no, if men come, what would happen? Sorry, if women come, what would happen to our men? We would lose all the seats. Then she questioned, Constitution does not talk about, does not say that this is only for men. They are for women also. And there's one Netri Foundation is trying to enable the women candidates to to come up and face face barriers and come out of the problems and fight the elections. Yeah. Then now about Indian scene, it was about political scene. Now we talk about social, cultural, and economic rights. There was one economist, Shavana Bhattacharya from World Bank. She conducted a survey in Delhi, very interesting name. She talks about Shah Rukh Khan. She says women, these poor women, working women, they don't have right to enjoy the films. They said, women said that we don't have enough money, it's difficult, we don't have enough technology, we cannot watch the heroes or heroines whom we like, because there are barriers, and they are, when they come home, they are so tired, they don't have time to rest, all the time they are working, and then at home, nobody helps them in their household work and all that. So she recommended that men should also take part in the household work so that they get time, and these women can really develop the creativity. These were her recommendations. And also, men do not like defiant Indian women and independent women. They get scared of them. So yeah, and also politicians contribute to and promote prejudice against the women. How much time is there? Yeah. Okay. So some we often hear these sentences. No, today some collective decline upon the you don't have children, so they will say collective decline upon the bodies of single and childless women. Other single out women in ripped jeans question why a murdered woman was out all by herself till 3 a.m. at night. They make light of rape by saying that boys are boys and so on. The political currency of sexism and misogyny is in strong circulation. In fact, with the present rulers, this has increased in our society. Now we go to the ownership, denial of ownership rights to women. UN and all that, many international treaties also, they all uphold the asset, like ownership of asset of women, and especially ownership of land by the women, because it's very empowering to them. But what's happening? Look at our country. But all over the world, in different countries, not more than 20% of the women own the land. And in India, there are some surveys. They say that, in fact, they don't enumerate asking, do you own the land? They say that, are you managing the land? So even if you take that management as the symbol for ownership, it's only 11.3% national level. It has very poor representation in different states. So while the exact data are unclear, what is clear is that relatively few women own land in India, and that this lack of land rights makes women second-class citizens legally, socially, economically. This inequality transcends both class and circumstances, impacting all of India's women. Now, most Indians feel that wife must be always obedient, but sometimes they also say that 80% said, if there is a problem with the job market, men should be given the preference, women should be kept at home, which is a very, illogical statement. And yes, also there is discrimination against women on the basis of marital status. Yes, married men and women do not have equal citizenship in India. She gave the Krishnamurti and Dhawan, they gave the example of marital rape. And the root of inequality lies in section 375 of the Indian Penal Code, 1860, which accords legal recognition of male ownership of women. It's a matter of shame that this quintessentially unfair and patriarchal law has coexisted with the transformative premise of equal citizenship in our constitution. In matters of public employment, for example, Indian Railways, if the woman is married, she has no status, she cannot get benefits of family pension for her father dies, like she cannot get family pension, she cannot get medical insurance, but married man can get all these things. No, this is real inequality. So based on marital status, these policies openly discriminate against the women as equal persons for service benefits, and welfare. Number of women have gone to the court seeking justice against this discrimination. Now, the government, yeah. How much time is there? Can you please tell me? Are you give me 5 minutes more?
Yes, please. Yeah, 5 minutes more.
Yeah, thank you. See, there was some policy by the JK government in 2010, rehabilitation policy. Government had announced that all those militants, ex-militants can come back and rehabilitate themselves. So they had come, many of them had come via Nepal rather than coming by Indira Gandhi, designated routes by the government, because they were scared that Pakistan can track them, Pakistan or terrorist group can track them and finish them. So I think that what they did was not wrong, actually. So many of the women whom they married there in Pakistan, they all came with them, because the policy had said that it will rehabilitate their family, wife, children, etc. So estimated 350 Pakistani women who came with their husbands are now left to fend for themselves. 3 examples. One, Nusrat Begum, she was 29. She had come with her husband, Zahur Ahmed Lone, in 2012. And poor fellow, then after, and she couldn't go back to her, to visit her parents. I think we women should have rights to visit our parents, wherever they might be. Yeah? So her husband didn't want her to go back, so he destroyed her passport. Very wrong on his part. And then he divorced, kicked her out of her marital home. And poor thing, now she's, when her father died, she couldn't even visit her mother and console her. So she says, I could not even grieve for my father properly. What can I say on a video call? Then there was another lady, Bushra Farooq, similar story for her. Then there was one more person. 3, they had appeared in newspapers, So there was another lady, Saira Javed, and she similar stories of tragedy, very sad. So they say that we go and we hold dharnas, we make protests and all that. Those agencies come and listen to it, then nothing happens. So, either the Indian government, my suggestion is Indian government should either give them citizenship or send them away to Pakistan. Why make them suffer, continue to suffer? Gross injustice being done to these vulnerable women who have faithfully accompanied their Indian husbands. This is a gross violation of the human rights to live with dignity and in safety. On the basis of human rights, these wives of ex-militants who come to India as part of a rehabilitation plan should be either granted citizenship or deported back to their parents in Pakistan. Why continue the misery and, these poor women, okay. Then some more stories about Kerala government. There was one lady, Fatima, she 73 years old. She renounced her Pakistani citizenship, applied for Indian citizenship. Her papers went to the Kerala government, then to Minister of Home Affairs. And then in the Kerala government lost that certificate, citizenship renunciation certificate, which is usually once in lifetime. So then initially they refused to accept that they have lost it, misplaced or lost it. Then she applied, her daughter Rashida applied under RTI Act. So then the reply came from this thing, Ministry of Home Affairs, then also from Kerala government. Certificate was submitted, but now they are unable to find it. In fact, the entire file was physically not available. So very sad. Then somehow they approached the Pakistani government. I think they issued the certificate again. Now, what is the status? I don't know. Recently, there was no news about that lady in the newspapers. And then her daughter had also applied for Indian citizenship. They were Keralites who had gone there. They were born, but they came back here and all that. Even her papers were one form was lost. So there's a lot of neglect on the part of the government. They don't care for women. They don't care for anybody, but they care less for the women. This is the discrimination. Then this is two more stories of stateless Assamese women. They're not Muslims. They are Hindus. Avanti Deka, Nessa, Assami woman, Unfortunately, she lost her in that list which they made. We know that 2 million out of 33 million Assamese people were missing from the rolls. Avanti was one of the unfortunate ones. Avanti Deka laments that the notice came suddenly. I don't understand. I was born here. I have voted here before, but suddenly none of that matters to anymore. So And then there was another lady, her name is Mandal, Aladi Mandal. And she had lost her papers. So there, because a lot of flooding is there, flooding is a common phenomenon there. So she was more interested in keeping her belongings, So she could not understand where the papers went. She also, her name was also not there. She was very scared now. And then this, it is very sad actually. How can our politicians do this type of things? In the name of citizens register, a lot of injustice being done to the genuine and native Assamese women. This whole exercise needs to be abundant. It was also a wasteful expenditure. These funds could have been used for the betterment of the people of Assam, a poor state, And then coming to the end, we have to give the full city. I mean, women have to ask, women have to fight to get the full citizenship. That is, whatever rights are there, they should practice them. The citizenship status of women needs to be changed into active practice as citizens by women. Therefore, women's agency becomes essential. For this self-identification of women as political actors is pivotal in women's involvement in active citizenship activities because they cannot undertake any type of action unless they believe in the capacities to achieve certain goals. Now, yes, recently the the experts of political science have pointed out that Indian women are asserting their rights. And in fact, in the South, we know the story of N.T. Ramarao and MGR Ramachandran, the two actors whom women supported a lot and voted for them. They brought them to power. It is also said that in Bihar, it is the women who shaped Nishit Kumar's win. And also we know it's very clear. I had read many articles in West Bengal. Mamata Banerjee came into power. It was because she has grassroots connections. And there are many women's organizations who favor her. In fact, because of women's voting, she came to power. Otherwise, it was predicted, the surveys predicted she will not come into power. In fact, miserable defeat will be there for her. The other way it happened. And then in Uttar Pradesh also, it seems that the women are becoming into their own. And the best example would be that anti-CA movement of Indian women of this positive approach, even though the women could not succeed in getting the CA repealed, as in case of the farm laws, they could draw attention to them all over the world. Because of pandemic, the movement fizzled out. If required, when circumstances are favorable and there is dire need for movement, the women will restart it. And there are some recommendations. I will not read them because you find whatever prejudices are there, we have to remove them. And these are simple, but they're effective if we can follow them. We have to fight the feudal mentality of the men. Even that mentality there among women also. No? These are, we have deep-rooted prejudice. We have to do a lot of struggle to remove them. I think I'll stop here. Thank you very much for giving this opportunity. I hope I made myself clear. Thank you. Khuda Hafiz.